This week on Shift Points, the Galaxie gets a brand new interior. And by brand new interior, I mean it gets new carpet and the interior goes back in it. Thanks for joining. I'm crazy. That mass backing that they have on it, you can kind of hear. This is one place where I kind of hosed it up just a little. Welcome back. We have the Galaxie here. You guys remember last week we got all of the hardware for our retro sound system installed. Everything is mounted. We still have to wire it, but we're gonna have to wait on that just a few days because I've got to go out of town for about 11 days here coming up. So today I'm gonna throw the panels back in the rear of the car. You guys remember we pulled those out so we could paint the floor. I want to get these panels back in on both sides here. One thing that I did forget was these trim panels right here. These guys right here. These actually go around the back of the packing tray and hold it in place. Had to pull these out so that I could put the speakers in. But I need to get these thrown in here also. So they are a two-piece deal and there is an overlap here. And you can see there that that's where this one goes over here. So you can see the trim pieces in, packing shelf goes up there between the two pieces of metal, sandwiched between this trim piece here and the piece that's back there, and it fills up that gap very nicely. Alright, next up is the seat back. Bolt the seat back in, but I will just set the seat bottom in and not lock it down. I'm crazy. I gotta put the panels in first. Let's get this back up. Panels here. There's two latches up here at the top. That's why I was kind of hammering on that pretty good. Gotta get those latched in. Lined up. It'll be pretty easy with these panels because they are in really good shape. Latches all the way down through here. Those lined up. This screw here. Alright, got the panels back in. They're solid. Got the seat back set in here. Need to get it latched. That. And those line up pretty well. Alright guys, welcome back. So we're back working on the Galaxie and we're going to get our new carpet in. I just got it out here laid in the sun. If you guys remember, I got it with the mass backing on it, so it's got kind of a rubberized backing so I didn't have to put Dynamat in the front of the car. So we got this thing out in the sun. It says to let it sit out here in the sun and let it start kind of retake its shape, let the heat get into it, and it'll be a little bit easier to install. So I got it laying out here. So I just wanted to show you this first and let you see it out here in the sun, let it kind of bake, let it get a little shape to it. Went ahead and got the seat pulled out like I told you I was going to. You can see everything's in here. One thing I do have to do, I'm gonna have to vacuum this thing already. Somehow it's already filthy in the back seat, but anyway, go ahead and do that before we put any carpet in. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and pulled our amplifier out. You guys remember us mounting this up under the dash near the front and the floor a couple videos ago. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the amplifier off of this bracket and just paint a little black on it just so that it doesn't stand out so much against the red carpet and then the black amplifier. And that'll be one little thing kind of done today. Let this thing start drying. And then I'll go ahead and lay the carpet in and make sure that I actually bought the right stuff this time. I'm pretty sure I did. I feel very confident that it's right, but I was pretty confident last time too. Stepping out here into the paint booth. Just hit that bracket with some green Scotch-Brite. Scuffed it up a little. Got my Rust-Oleum high performance enamel. It's professional stuff. We use it all the time. Just gonna haze a little coat on here. Let's go ahead and throw this carpet in. One thing I want to show you guys real quick is what I was talking about. This is that mass backing that they have on it. You can kind of hear It's like a rubberized texture to it, and that's supposed to help with the sound deadening and stuff a lot like the Dynamat does. It also has like the insulator here as well on this. Remember, I got this stuff from Stock Interiors. They were pretty easy to work with, even when I ordered the wrong thing. I did have to pay like a partial restocking fee, but not as much because I was ordering the right one from them also. So let's go ahead and throw this in here. It is a two-piece deal, so we've got this piece here that goes to the back seat, and then a piece that comes forward as well. So I'm going to lay this guy in here first. They do say there will be some trimming, of course, some trimming and some cutting that has to be done, and that's not bad. So the issue was the first time with the first stuff that I got, this actually had like a piece that came up like this and also went back here like toward the seat. So it was pretty quickly realized whenever I put it in here that it wasn't going to fit at all. So this, you can see the other good thing about the mass backing, I think the mass backing was about $80 extra, but the other nice thing about it, it actually kind of gives it a little bit of form, and that's what you're doing when you set it out in the sun. It lets it kind of retake its form from where it was in the box for shipping. So that kind of gets you in here, and I'll bring you guys in here and show it to you. As you can see, that lays in here awfully flat here on this side. I'll have to go open the other door and get it laid in. And then I'll also have to trim it to clear this, to clear the door here, as well as cut some holes for our seatbelt loops. In the previous videos I said I only had to cut it for the throttle pedal and the shifter, but that's actually not true. I have 4 posts here for the seat belts as well, so I had to cut a slot for those too. But so far I'm very happy with what we've got going on here. I didn't film a whole lot of it because I didn't figure you wanted to hear me cuss and sweat. So here we are. I got the back piece in. You can see I've got the notches cut for where the seat belts mount up. The nice thing, I said it earlier about this mass backing, is the fact that you've got this almost a structure to it. So you have a little bit of a guide to go by on getting this fitted in here. I'm pretty happy with it. If you guys remember when we pulled it out, this carpet does have a few screws in it in different places. Got those in place. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and I went ahead and got the holes drilled for the seat as well. I'm going to take you to that side and show you that. A little trick I think I learned on Roadkill or from Fryburger 1, talking about how to drill through this carpet and not leave a big bushy mess up with your carpet. We'll go over there and check that out. So the way to do this is to grab a step bit, unibit steel like this. This bit I can go all the way through. And that is exactly the same size as the hole that's already in the floor. I already have that located. Just lifted up the carpet and located it. If you take that, use this unibit just like this, and run through that. That's the other good thing about the mass backing as well, is it also kind of gives a little bit of structure. But you can see that right there. It doesn't make such a mess and kind of mess up your carpet, but it gives you entrance down into the hole, so that whenever we put the seat back in this thing, hopefully it'll be pretty easy to put in. Now since this back piece is in and the holes are drilled for the seat and everything, I can go ahead and start getting the front piece in. To do that, I did pull the shifter off. There was 2 1/2-inch bolts on each side of the front. You can see right there that held the shifter on, and I'll show you guys when I put it back in. 2 spring-loaded deals on the side of it that kind of keeps it located. Got that pulled off. The only hole I have to cut for the front piece is for the throttle pedal and for the shifter boot here, or for the shifter hole here. And then I've got to locate where the screws go in. There's a handful of screws that go in and hold it in place, like in this back piece. Maybe not too many actually, now that I'm kind of looking at it. Might just be one here. Anyway, but I'll go ahead and figure that out as well and get that front piece laid in here and in place. I spent a good portion yesterday evening trying to get this front section in. We had to clearance for the throttle pedal, for the headlight switch, and a few things, and then just get it cut down to length on the sides. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It isn't by no means perfect or 100% or anything like that, but it's not bad. So this is a good thing. The seat will come across this, and so the seat has these holes right here. You guys saw me drill those holes yesterday. So it's gonna, once the seat comes in here, it's also gonna come in here and hold this down, keep everything really secure. So I got all the screws in, best I can tell, and then the only thing I have left is to cut out the hole for the shifter. But in general, like I said, I wouldn't call it show quality perfect, but it's not bad. I kind of have the carpet laying here how I want it. I went ahead and made a cut, made sure I actually used a pick. Oh, here we go. I used a pick like this to kind of make sure that I was in the hole for the shifter, which it's a pretty decent sized hole, so I was pretty confident in it. But now I can go ahead and just take my box cutter and I can use that to find the edges of the hole, and I'll kind of make a cut this way and a cut this way so that I can kind of have an X there, and then I can just take my scissors and trim that X out and then just kind of ease up on it to make sure I don't cut too much. We do have a trim ring, so that will cover up any sort of butchery that I end up doing here, but I think in general it's going to work out pretty good. Honestly, one of the hardest parts about this deal has been getting through the this insulation material like this. That stuff's what's been so hard to cut. The actual carpet with the mass backing is really easy to cut, but man, that stuff boogers up and it makes it really difficult to get through. Got this guy put in. I thought I was gonna have to lift the carpet up to be able to put the shifter in and get this. There's a bottom support ring under this ring to get it in, but everything is good. Shifts, was able to do that without taking the carpet back out. Now the only thing I have left here is to mount this amplifier. There's a little bit of a bump here in the carpet, but this is actually gonna help it. Whenever we bolt this amplifier in, it'll hold this down, and it's gonna kind of get everything more solidly down in place like it needs to be. I don't know if this is just me being bad at this that has this bunched up, or if it's just how this is. But anyway, I've got the amplifier here. You guys remember, we've got 2 screws in the bottom of it. Ignore this terrible paint. I don't know, there was some sort of grease or something on this aluminum that I didn't know about, and it kind of wadded the paint up, but it's okay. You won't notice it once it gets under there. The big thing will be getting these 2 screw holes located, and then getting a screw run through the carpet and into the floor, and hopefully do everything we want it to do, which is cinch this down more and kind of push the carpet down this way and this way. Pretty nice little thing. I was able to lift the carpet up like right here, pull this back and get a good eyeball on where these screws were, and then I used my little step drill bit trick, drilled 2 holes, and they lined up perfectly. This thing is mounted in super solid. I really like this location where this ended up. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, my dad and I also got the seats thrown back in this thing, back seat, put the front seat in. We ended up actually having to clean the threads up on the front seat, get the studs put back in place, but we got that put in there. So you guys don't know it, but you just time traveled. Basically where you just left off was a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I don't know, some amount of time ago. And I realized when I went in to edit this video that my plan was, for that video in general, was to be the carpet install and then go into the wiring of our radio. I realized that I had a lot of footage of putting the interior in this car, and then a lot of footage about wiring the car. So I went ahead and decided to split this up into 2. So like I said, you've jumped forward in time a little bit, and now you're kind of learning that, hey, I don't always get it right. Sometimes I miss stuff. And one of the things that I missed was actually showing you a completed interior shot. So this video has been about doing the interior in the car, getting everything bolted back in. I didn't even show you. So let me show you what that looks like and how everything turned out. So you can see, turns out, when you get the interior in the car, that any of your mistakes, for the most part, basically get covered up. So you can see right there, I'm really happy with how the carpet turned out. The shifter looks great. All of that looks really nice. There's only one part about this interior that I'm not happy with, and I'll take you to the other side and show you that. But you can see everything's held down. We've got the seats through both panels here. I got the door seals put back in. Those went in well. There is a little bit of a gap here. I'm not 100% sure how this was supposed to be. If maybe I should have trimmed more here, and it would have just not had as much in this area. So the carpet overhangs here just a little, but I wanted that because I wanted this door seal to hold it down. But it's good enough for me. I'm happy with it, even with this little gap, because there's basically no way that you can get your foot here, because when you get in the car, you're putting your feet in here. The other thing we got in here were the old original seat belts. Those are in here, and we got the carpet in the back, showing off all that. So all this really turned out nicely, and for the most part, I did a pretty decent job getting it trimmed up. Now, there's not, like I said, it's not perfect. There is some gaps here, trimmed a little too much here. We actually added some spacers here on here. If you look at the bottom of this seat, the only thing that holds it up is this metal brace right there. And that guy, what we did, we just took a aluminum block here, took some weather strip adhesive and glued to that, and raised the seats up. So this has moved up substantially from where it was, and it's way more comfortable to drive. The other thing we did is when we were bolting the seats in, we actually added some washers in that as well, in the very back of this, to compensate for the difference that having this carpet in here, like this. If you guys go back and watch when we pulled the interior out of this car, Henry Ford, or my Uncle Richard I, had taken and cut out the center section of this where the seat mounted. Seat was mounted directly to the floor, which is probably not a bad thing, but it was just kind of weird. It didn't really, to me, it didn't look stock. It very much could have been. I like it with the carpet all the way through it, because that big open space was just a spot there where there was going to be sound and heat coming through. Now we've got a double, almost in certain places, we got a double layer of the mass-backed carpet that's allowing to have some more insulation, make this car quieter, make it not as hot. I'm really happy with that. Now, into the one thing that I'm not super happy with, and I've told you guys many times up to this point, I try not to lie to you guys. I'm not a professional by any means, but do my best to try to do my best. This is one place where I kind of hosed it up just a little. But right here, where the throttle pedal comes through, this is definitely some butchery. And again, all from my side of all this. When I cut the slot for this, and when I did, I went to put the throttle pedal through. I had to clear some more to get it to where the throttle pedal would actually meet the throttle, the throttle itself. And so I had to do some trimming, and in that process, I'd cut just a little too much here, and when I pushed it down, it kind of ripped, and it kind of got this big gap here. And this is also, I told you guys at one point how hard this insulation was to cut. That was the other thing that was a little bit of a pain, is this insulation was such a hassle to try and cut. So that is probably the worst part of this for me. But if that's the worst thing that I do in all of this, I'll be okay. So I might have to take something, see if I can get this insulation cut back to where it's not so obvious looking through it. But in general, it's not so bad. We'll just have to live with it. So with that being said, that wraps up the interior of the Galaxie. Now I'm going to be honest with you, right now this car is wired and ready to run, but you guys haven't seen it yet because you're not going to see it till next week. Next week we'll dive into the wiring. I built an auxiliary fuse panel for this car to power everything. We're going to dive into the details of that, specifically what I did, the parts that I used in doing all that. I think this is something that, I think almost every week we do something that can help someone in the project that they're working on. But I really believe that this panel here is something that is extremely useful. It's very functional, and I think a lot of people should consider thinking about doing something like this in their cars, especially like this that has 60-year-old wiring on it, instead of tapping into it and doing a lot of crazy stuff. Doing something like this, like you'll see next week, I think will be helpful and a lot safer for a lot of people. So make sure you tune in and watch that, and we will see you guys next week while we're doing that. Don't forget to hit subscribe and follow along with us. Follow along. Let us know what you think about the interior. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Make sure to put some comments in there. Let me know how that's going. Thanks for everybody that's subscribed and is going to subscribe. And you can always check us out at Shift Points, all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Thanks for everyone that's done that, following along, getting us to this point. So tune in next week. We'll do some wiring. I'll see you guys then.